My name is Dave Barber, Capital Television, today coming to you from the third floor of the Rhode Island State House in a segment that we call Capital Spotlight. We invite members of the General Assembly in to discuss some of the things they've been working on and how it might affect you, the Rhode Island citizen. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome back a gentleman we've interviewed many times before. It's good to have him back, the Honorable Member of the House of Representatives, Representative Mike Chippendale. Representative, good to see you.
Thank you, Dave. It's good to see you as well, as always.
And again, I know you've been very busy, along with you and your Republican colleagues, with something that you're calling the pro-growth agenda, something that obviously we'd all like to see. We'd like to see growth and jobs in the economy here in Rhode Island. And I guess first and foremost, are you optimistic? Are we moving in the right direction, do you think?
Well, I think generally we have a lot of structural flaws in the state that need to be addressed. We as a group, as a caucus, felt that there were things that needed to be done on a fundamental level in order to make Rhode Island more attractive for businesses, more affordable for businesses, and then also, of course, more affordable and attractive to citizens.
Well, and let's talk about a couple of those things
Sure.
that you think deal with some of these problems head on. You would like to see, in fact, you've introduced legislation that would repeal the Caruolo Act. Now, many people watching right now will go, oh, yeah, I've heard of the Caruolo Act before, but it's not the kind of thing that you sit down at the dinner table with your family and discuss. Can you set the table, excuse the pun, for us, and tell us a little bit what the Caruolo Act is and why do you want to see it repealed?
Sure. And first, I am a co-sponsor of that bill. The primary sponsor is Patricia Morgan, who is part of the group who introduced the pro-growth agenda with us. The Caruolo Act is essentially, it gives school departments the ability to take a town to court and sue for money that they feel they should have, whether the town approved of it or not. And basically what it does is we've seen the effects of it, and it costs towns excessive amounts of money in legal fees, and it does nothing to ensure that education will be better and that it will be more efficient and that the schools will run better. So it's unfortunately just it's a money issue, and that's what it really boils down to. So when the school engages the town in a legal battle, no one wins because both sides of that legal challenge are being represented by lawyers that the town is paying for. So the taxpayers lose when those types of battles incur.
And I presume it was named after Mr. Caruolo, who must have originally orchestrated this legislation in the first place.
It precedes my time, but yes, he was, I think, the primary author of that legislation.
And again, you know, you're looking at local cities and towns that are being challenged economically. School departments are having a tough way to go. So you believe that by repealing this, this will save both sides money?
It certainly will. The data are very clear on this, and we haven't seen, again, an advantage to the children from this. It's not been proven to help out the towns or the children. So it frankly is a hindrance to towns, and we have to get rid of it.
Well, my question is, do you have the votes?
I don't have the crystal ball to tell you if we do. I would love to say that we do with certainty, but I can't. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get enough people on board and change minds if we have to, and get people to start looking at these fundamental things that need to change, and this is one of them.
Well, some of the things that deal with schools can be very complicated. We know that it's very costly. Another piece of legislation that you've worked on deals with budgeting for school committees. Tell our viewers about that.
Absolutely, and this actually supports one of the reasons for repealing the so-called Caruolo Act. Essentially, right now, the level funding of schools or foundation funding of schools is done through line items, and then also we see far too much of one-time expenses. In other words, maybe a roof was replaced for $500,000, or expired debt service. Maybe a bond came up due, it's all done, and you don't have to pay for it anymore, but that money is put forward in the next year's budget. So a roof that you fixed once, the money gets put in the budget for next year, and the debt that expired, that same money gets put into the budget for next year. And that can only, I mean, a fourth grade student can tell you mathematically that will only grow a budget, and it will never ever result in a positive impact on the schools, which is why, Dave, we see in our budgets in towns and cities anywhere from 65 to 85% of every tax dollar going directly to the schools. And that's what's led cities like Woonsocket and Central Falls to find themselves in the situations that they're in.
Well, Representative Chippendale, I wish you and your colleagues in the Republican side of the House the very best with your pro-growth agenda, and I want to thank you for taking time out of what is a very busy schedule for you to talk with us. Thank you, sir.
Anytime, Dave. Thank you.
And of course, we couldn't do it without you watching. Thank you so much for tuning in from the third floor of the Rhode Island State House. I'm Dave Barber.